Okay, well, it's Hey Teves. Unbelievable. Going from Hanukkah to me, it's like the lights keep burning and the lights keep burning stronger. And the stronger the light, the more darkness can be overcome. And Hey Teves, I think everybody on the call so far is pretty clear on what happened to Hey Teves. And it's very germane to where we're going to start with our Tanya today. So let's first get into Hayom Yom.
Yossi Patel has wonderful shirim on it. If anybody's really interested in some of the nitty gritty and the more ruchnistic aspects, recommend.
Hey Teves, when Mashiach comes, we will realize the greatness of Haidah, which in the Frenzy he translates acknowledgement. It is also thankfulness. It's humility. It's belief. The power of beyond seichel, the power of acknowledgement. I just acknowledge. Acknowledge is like I know there's more, and I acknowledge that it is, even though I have no idea how to understand it, but I acknowledge it, and that's something that's bigger than me. We'll realize the greatness of that, and tamimus, earnestness, no complications, just simplicity, utter straightness. Everyone's pure faith in God and His Torah and mitzvahs. Talmud, namely human comprehension, right? Talmud is, we have to understand. We've learned that. You not only have to bring it to speech, but when you're learning Gemara, you have to Shulchan Aruch, you have to understand it. So Talmud, which is object of human comprehension, even on its highest level, is limited. Talmud and comprehension are limited. But Haidah, faith, is a feeling that is boundless. Mashiach will teach us to understand the great practical superiority of simple, pure, warm-hearted, earnest avodah. I love those words. Simple, pure, warm-hearted, and earnest. Ernstkeit, which is also tamimus, pure tam. Okay, so let's, before we delve into the Tanya, let's first give a little Yehirat son. It should be God's will that his ears should be open to hear our Tanya this morning. And with that he hears, he should enjoy it the way we enjoy it. And that joy should come down and permeate all the corners of reality. Amen. Live refuah shleimus.
We'll do Yehuda Skolda bas Eliza Hana, Sivya Haya bas Rayamasha, and Elka Rachel bas Eliza.
Lord Rachel bat Miriam Chava.
And Baruch Benjamin ben Rachel Lima.
So have them for Shlema, all of them.
And Chava Daniela bas Naomi Chana.
Also, for Shlema Bekorev. Okay, lessons in Tanya is on page chapter 6, page 99. Okay. Chapter 6, page 99. And Akuti Amorim. Excuse me. Chapter 6, page Yud. Okay, having given us quite a lot of information about godliness, the structure, the way God expresses himself in the notion of spheros, and how those spheros are reflected in, or sometimes expressed as a shadow of, those spheros that are 10 powers are a shadow of or a representation of the 10 spheros. They echo the 10 spheros, so that our 10 powers are really just echoes of or shadows of God's 10 spheros. And having done that in the context of the Nefesh Elokis, telling us about the Nefesh Elokis. Number one, that we have a Nefesh Elokis. Nefesh Hashenis, that was the beginning of an early chapter. Nefesh, the second soul that we get, the first is the animal. Nefesh Hashenis be Israel, is a part of God Mamish, which is the Nefesh Elokis, and having given us quite a bit of information about that and its structure and its power, the internal aspects of it, the Chabad, and then the more external aspects of it, the Chagas, the Chi, and the Malchus, and that these powers are expressed and we get a handle on them and are able to use them through the garments of Machshavah, Dibur, and Masa. So having done that, the Alter Rebbe now goes on and speaks about the first soul, which we've neglected, which is an extremely important soul, the animal soul. Without the animal, we wouldn't be alive. The animating soul. Perek Vav. It's a pasuk. One thing opposite the other, God made. A very profound statement that the essence, the structure, the fabric of reality, of all reality, includes good and the opposite of good. This opposite that. That's the fabric of all reality. Good and the opposite of good. Just like the godly soul includes and has within it, in a general way, all inclusively, 10 spheros, Kedaishis, holy spheros, and this godly soul, with its 10 powers or 10 spheros, is enclosed like a garment, right? Enclosed in the garments of thought, speech, and action, holy garments. So similarly, Kach, in the same way, because this is a fabric of light and darkness, a fabric of good and evil, which is the, as I said, is the structure from all levels of godliness on down. So Kach, nefesh sitra achra, so the soul of the other side. And it's important to note, this other side, this side and that side, good and evil, only exists at an initial external manifestation of godliness. Before that, they're all inclusive with each other and there's no distinction. As David HaMelech says, like darkness, like light. There's an interesting mashal that's brought over and over again in the Maimarim of the Alter Rebbe, that evil, he describes that mashal of evil when it's before it's really manifest, like a small spider up in the corner of the palace of the king, where it's a poisonous spider, at least that's what's implied, but it has no relevance whatsoever because it's in a state where it's not yet a real Metzias. It's not really come down out of its possible existence to its real existence, and therefore it's fine. And it needs to be fine because good and evil are the fabric of all reality. But it also needs to come down and express its negativity, which ultimately results in a possibility, which God wants this possibility to be realized, which is the light which comes dafka from the darkness, from the evil. But at the beginning, it's kalula, it's included in the allness, but as it comes down, it becomes something manifest as something else. And that's called sitra achra, the other side. It becomes manifest of the sitra as the sitra achra. And that sitra achra comes miklipis noiga, from a light klippa. At first, its job is to actually, in a certain sense, it's a positive. God needs a covering. God needs a darkening. He needs something of him needs to be hidden in order that creation can have some participation in him. Because if God didn't conceal himself in some way, we've spoken about this over and over, everything would be like the sun coming down here and we would all be burnt up and we would be nothing. So the klippa starts up there and it begins klippas noiga. It's a klippa that light can shine through. And as it comes down here, there are klippas noiga, light concealments which are for the sake of a revelation, and we can use them out to reveal. And then it gets darker and darker and darker until we have the gimel klippas of Timaeus. But in any case, they're a different side of God, a side which is called the Sitra Achra, which comes from the light clippers, Hamalubeshes Bedam, which are enclosed in the blood of a person, Adam. And this itself is an interesting, and we've mentioned this before, the word Adam, the human being, is a composite of the Aleph and the B'dam. Aleph is the Alufay Shel Olam, the master, the ruler, the chief of the world. And the chief of the world is invested in his blood, in his animating soul. So godliness is invested everywhere, right? And from our perspective today, we're looking about the animal soul particularly. You need to know that godliness and Aleph, the Alufa Shel Olam, is invested in the animating animal soul, which is Kalula Me'esek Kisrin de Misabuta, which this animal soul is constituted of or includes 10 crowns of impurity, which is an indication that the power of the animal soul is more of a makif, and it's a crown, right? Keser is makif. So it has a capacity that really has a power to it as well. That's one of the functions of makif, and it permeates all levels of reality, and at its deepest stage, it permeates every single part of the reality of this world. These crowns of impurity. Shehen Sheva Midos Rois, and they manifest as, just like there are 7 holy midos, there are 7 evil midos. Abois Ma'aber Yisoides Roim, which come from the evil expression of fire, earth, air, and water. So just to take one, kindness, right? We said kindness comes from the fundament of water. It flows. And there is a notion of Klippa the Yishmael, the Klippa of Yishmael, the kindness and the exuberance. Have you ever seen, I'm sure you have pictures of the rich sheikh, how do you say it? The sheiks, I don't know how you say it. The chiefs, the princes in the Arab world. Lavishness, untold lavishness. The UAE, Dubai, all big expressions, but expressions of yeshusness, which is the expression of kindness, expression, flow of the other side. And you could give many examples of this. Arba Yesodis Royam, expressions, and there's similarly Gavura and all the others. They each have their Zela Umazeh, the kindness of Kedusha, the kindness of the other side, the kindness of Gavura, etc., etc. As we said above, about the 4 Yesodos. And then, as it comes down, these koichos to manifest in seichel, intellect. So there's the intellect of la'umazeh, the ideology, the mindfulness of the opposite side. Which is divided in 3, just like the midos, just like the powers of the intellectual powers, the Chabad of Kedusha. There's the Chabad of the other side. Shehen Chochmah Bina V'das, Mokar HaMidos, which are the source of midos, just as it is in the Nefesh Elokis. Ki HaMidos Hen Lefi Erech HaSeichel. And this is true. This is this applies, and mainly in our avoida, to the other side. That midos, the other side being the side of Kedusha, midos Hen Lefi Erech HaSeichel. It's true on both sides. One's attributes, one's chesed, gevura, teferetz, etc., are going to be according to the way one understands. And if one's mind is locked into a klippa, then the minos will, mean a negative klippus, then a negative expression. Then the minos will also be negatively expressed. And he gives an example here of how midos can get. There are midos of godless, great midos, big midos, and small midos. Ki hakotten, a small person, a baby, and a toddler. Hoishik v'oyev devorim ketani. A toddler will love small things, b'chusei erech, things of little value. The fisha sichle cotton, the kotzer, the hasig devorim yikorim yoisemehem, because his intellect is small and limited and can't grasp things which are more precious, more expensive, more valuable. likewise, this Katan, miskayas and miskotzev, he will be angered and troubled, midevarim ketanim, from small things. V'chein v'atiferes v'shamidas, and that's similarly all the other midos. His midah of Teferes, which is Teferes means beauty, it will be self-centered rather than other-centered. And these 10 bechinos, right, Chabad down to Malchus of the other side, Elu hatomoyes. These we're speaking on this chapter about the tuma side, the impure side of all that. When a person uses those faculties of thought, speech, and action, now the garments, to bring down the intellect and the deeper and the source of the intellect of the other side, the dark side, and starts to use his garments to think about them, or medabra, or to speak about those things, and speaks like that from the other side, or oisa, or does from the power of the other side. So his thought, which is in his brain, and his speech, which is in his mouth, and the power of deed, which is in his hand, and the other limbs and all the other limbs that he has, they're called 10 impure. They're called 10. They're called impure garments. They're the impure garments, impure thought, speech, and action for the 10 powers of the soul from Chabad down to Nahim, which are on the side of the other side, which is the side of Tuma, Timaeus. Which these 10 garments of these 10 powers are enclosed in them, in this Machshava Dibur Maisa, B'Shas Maisa, when he does something, or Dibur, or he speaks something, or Machshava, or when he thinks something. Right? And this is all the deeds that are done, a metaphor, I think from Shlomo HaMelech, I'm not sure, maybe someone knows the source, from what we call under the sun, in the realm of condensation, concealment, contraction that expresses godliness as godliness comes down, under the sun. Asher hakol hevel, this is definitely from Shlomo HaMelech, right? Hakol hevel, everything is vanity, v'rois ruach, and everything is literally bad-spirited. And is written in the Zohar on Parshas B'Shalach, shehein tavire de rucha, they are the brokenness of the spirit. We're calling this the darkness of the spirit, right? More and more klippa, more and more shell over them. The Zohar expresses it as a brokenness of the spirit. Bechulu, etc. And that's today's Tanya. Comments? Questions?
I haven't been following that closely, but is this the first time we get? I mean, this today I was, not always. So Erev Shabbos, not so great.
This is the first time we
get Moach Shalat Al Halev, but not in those words.
Well, is it the first time he said Moach Shalat Al Halev?
He didn't say it in those words. He says,
no, I know.
It depends on your.
Yeah. He said virtually that it does rule over the heart, but he's talking about it in negativity, right? I don't know if he's mentioned it before. I honestly don't know.
But it definitely is, this is certainly a source, a very clear source.
Oh, for sure. I'm looking for the language. Very, very clear. Anyway, someone else with a question? I can look for this.
Hello, it's Raisa. Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning.
Okay, so this is my question, and it's my question. It's more of a question of existence than a question of specifically what we're learning now. It's to me that the voice of like now we're doing Perek Vav. And this is El Umazeh. You have Nefesh Elokis, and you have the Nefesh Habahamis. And it seems to me that it's not even. it seems to me that the voice of the emotional voice, the voice that gets angry, or the voice that is drawn to things that are of lesser value, like
wait, hold on. They both have emotional. It's not just the nefesh Bahamas, which is the emotional one. The nefesh Kedusha also has emotions. Everything is opposite the other, one for one, across from Kedusha to Sitra Achra on every level it corresponds.
Yeah, okay, so let's take it that way. The Kedusha emotions require a concerted effort to maintain. The Nefesh Bahamas emotions, they pop up when you didn't even want them.
That's correct. It's natural. That's the natural soul.
So this is like this is I don't know. I know Moach Shalad al Halei, but I don't see it that way.
Well, first
or
of
very
all,
rarely, I would say.
Let me shed some light on that. But first of all, back to Rivka's, I've done ki hamidos sein lefi erech haseichel, right? That the midos are according that brain, which you translate incorrectly, that how you feel is dependent on your brain, which is moyach shalat alav. That's the expression he uses here. Yeah. Now, to your question, let's phrase your question just straight out, simple. What's your question?
Is that it seems to me that even though it sounds like when you read about it, it's like, yeah, of course your Moach will be Shalat Aloim, or of course your Nefesh will be stronger than your Nefesh Bahamas.
No.
But in life, it's just not.
No, Reza, it's never like that. It's never written like that. And of course, the of course is the nefesh Teves, the natural soul. That's the one which pops up as predominant because we are beings of flesh and blood. You have to learn that once in a while, I get this feeling, right, that there's something beyond. But I have no idea what it is. So I'll go back to bed. I'll go back to eating what I like to eat, and then it pops up again and it disturbs me. That which is popping up and disturbing you is the nefesh elokis. But now that and that's why he told us so much about it in the first place, because it's not natural to be able to understand. I have a nefesh elokis. That nefesh elokis has been put in me to fight the battle that's been raised by the animal soul and to win that battle. But the animal soul is what raises its head first and most often in every human being.
Okay, so
it's not an unequal battle. I mean, the battle they're opposite that. In fact, the nefesh elokis. I mean, it's interesting, because we always come up with this Shnehem emes. Both are true. What I mean by that is, this is true in Gomorrah, Beis Hillel, Beis Shammai. It's true when we talk about, is God singular or is he many? It depends on how you're looking at it. God is all and everything, ain't od no godly. That's true. That's true, and that truth seeps down into the world where there is multiple things, where there are multiple things, when there isn't just oneness. So, and you have to meld the two together. So similarly over here, you have two different forces. The one, and remember, he mentioned the animal soul before. Nefesh Hashenis is the godly soul, because the first thing that happens is that we can become alive in flesh and blood. That aliveness in flesh and blood is a function of the animal soul. And then he blows the godly soul into us. So the Nefesh Bahamas has an advantage. It's not just a temporal advantage. It's an advantage because that's our whole structure, our nervous structure. Our flesh and blood is the Nefesh Bahamas. Yes, but you have to know that you've got something else there, a Nefesh Elokis. And every aspect of your Nefesh Bahamas has a corresponding aspect in your Nefesh Elokis, and the two of them will fight with each other, right? This is the fight of Yaakov and the angel of Esau, right? They fight with each other. And the victory will belong, as a result of our avodah, to the Nefesh Elokis. And in fact, the Nefesh Elokis will elevate the Nefesh Bahamas. That's more than we've learned so far, but that's the story.
Yeah. Okay. So it's everyone's story.
It's everyone's story. Absolutely.
I thought maybe ladies are more vulnerable than men.
Well, that's another story. That's they more vulnerability. Yeah, okay. But that's not more. They're not more vulnerable to winning or losing this battle than the man is. We both are.
It's just that Mochen is like, I don't know.
Yeah, I get you. Mochen is connected with Zachar, and vulnerability or openness is connected with female. But remember, all of us are male and female.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
All of us have two sides, right? But so that's a different conversation. An attribute of vulnerability. But no, we're all in this battle together, separately and together.
So everybody feels that it's more immediate to want to sleep a little longer.
Yeah, sure. Unless you overcome that and teach your animal soul that it's really going to be much happier itself if it gets up and does avoid it. Okay, next.
I thank you. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, so what's our bechein from there, or some becheins, guys? Therefore, now that I know I have an animal soul, zela umazeh, which has completely parallel and opposite structures as the godly soul.
Yeah, it's up to us to use the positive powers we have to direct ourselves in the right direction.
Right, and I'll turn it around. You're right, but it's up to us to use our animal powers. These are the powers that we've been given: our animus, our hands to do mitzvahs, our feet to walk the walk. Right. So therefore, we will walk the walk as we go out into Teves today. See you tomorrow, Yemir Hashem. Okay? Bye-bye.
Thank you. Yontif.
Good Yontif.
Good Yontif.
Good Yontif.